Unraveling Rose. Rose was sewn together with love. She was named for the color of her flannel cheeks. She could have been named Cotton for her tail or Floppy for her long ears. But Rose was named Rose, and she liked that. Rose loved the little boy who hugged her tightly at bedtime. She loved when the little boy climbed trees with her or tossed her high in the air and caught her. But Rose's most favorite thing was reading stories with the boy. It was her job to turn the pages, and Rose loved that. Life was just the way she wanted it, and Rose did everything she could to keep it that way. If the books on the shelf weren't straight, Rose wanted to straighten them. At tea time, Rose made sure all the teacups' handles pointed to the right, and there wasn't a single wrinkle on her polka dot dress. Rose made sure that everything was perfect. Then one sunny Sunday morning, Rose discovered just under her left arm a tiny loose thread dangling free. Well, that shouldn't be there, she thought. Knowing that the little loose thread was dangling, Rose found it hard to concentrate on painting a picture or on building towers with her blocks, or even on reading stories with the boy. That loose thread was all she could think about. Finally, Rose had to fix it. Pinching the thread firmly, she pulled, but it didn't come out. The thread just got longer. When she tugged again, the thread kept coming and opened up a tiny hole. Rose could see a gap of white stuffing. Oh no, Rose sighed. So the stuffed bunny left the thread alone for a time. But it didn't take long before the thought of that dangling thread filled her mind, and Rose pulled at it again and again and again and again. And the string grew longer, and the little hole where she could see her white stuffing grew larger. Rose tried to hide the length of string in the pocket of her dress. She was embarrassed by what she was doing, and she didn't want anybody to see. Still, Rose couldn't stop. Now, when the boy tossed her in the air, Rose was worried that the ball of thread would tumble from her pocket. Still, Rose couldn't stop pulling the thread. She kept pulling at the thread until her arms started to really unravel and some of the stuffing fell out. Rose put on a sweater to cover the hole, but her left arm wouldn't work at all. Nearly all the stuffing was gone. She didn't want to paint pictures anymore or climb trees, but worst of all, Without both of her hands, Rose couldn't turn pages. When the boy asked if she wanted to read stories together, Rose sadly shook her head no. That one unraveling thread kept Rose from doing the things she loved most. She needed to make a big change. Rose put back her stuffing, threaded a needle, and stitch by stitch carefully sewed herself together. When she was finished and the hole was fixed, that little loose thread was still dangling. And that was okay. With practice, Rose forgot the thread was there. The more she didn't pull, the more she didn't have to pull. The more she and the boy could read their stories together. The more she understood that things don't always have to be perfect. The more room there was in Rose's head to do the things she loved and to feel loved. The end. Unraveling Rose.